Ride one of these 10 bikes, and people will laugh harder than ever before the engine even starts. From mechanical disasters that make tricycles look sophisticated to overpriced catastrophes, these are the 10 motorcycles that will instantly transform you into a two-wheeled punchline at every traffic light. Number 1 would turn you into the biggest clown by far. We're starting our countdown at number 10 with Kawasaki Ninja 250, a decent beginner bike with 32 horsepower that's light, reliable, and perfect for learning the fundamentals of motorcycling without dying in the process. The problem isn't the motorcycle itself. It's the delusional wannabe racers who buy it thinking they're getting a pocket rocket and then spend more on modifications than the bike originally cost, creating mechanical disasters that would make engineers weep. You've dumped $3,000 into customizing a $2,000 machine, which is like putting a tuxedo on a hamster and expecting it to win a bodybuilding competition against actual athletes. Carbon fiber fairings on something that makes less power than a decent kitchen blender running on half power. Racing stickers on a bike that gets passed by mobility scooters driven by elderly people who've given up on life and are just trying to reach the pharmacy before closing time. You installed a fancy exhaust system that sounds like a leaf blower having an anxiety attack, mixed with the dying screams of a mechanical mosquito trapped in a tin can. Your garage is filled with performance parts designed for bikes with 10 times the displacement, creating a monument to misplaced enthusiasm and poor financial planning that would make accountants cry. Your social media feeds are packed with dramatically angled photos of your track weapon that couldn't outrun a determined jogger with a decent stride and proper running shoes from a discount store. The performance hashtags and speed claims would make actual racers snort with laughter while wondering if you're having some sort of mechanical nervous breakdown or identity crisis involving 2 wheels. The real entertainment starts when you rev that obnoxiously loud pipe at red lights, desperately hoping someone mistakes your learner bike for actual performance machinery. Instead, everyone within a 3-block radius is wondering why someone brought a mechanical mosquito to a motorcycle gathering and why it sounds so angry about being there, disturbing the peace, and probably violating noise ordinances. Meanwhile, experienced riders shake their heads because they know you could have bought a properly used 600cc bike for what you've invested in modifications, or better yet, spent the money on riding lessons to learn how to use what you have, instead of making it louder and more embarrassing to everyone involved. If you thought over-modifying number 10's beginner bike made you look pathetic, number 9 makes you look like the ultimate joke at every bike meet. You somehow managed to find the worst parts of cars and motorcycles and mash them together into one $35,000 catastrophe that defies logic, physics, and basic common sense while insulting both automotive categories simultaneously. The Polaris Slingshot weighs 1,700 pounds, heavier than actual cars, yet somehow gets worse gas mileage than most pickup trucks at just 30 miles per gallon, proving that engineering can work in reverse. This mechanical nightmare handles like a broken shopping cart being pushed by someone having convulsions during an earthquake while blindfolded and dizzy. The steering connects to the wheels through what feels like dental floss, rubber bands, and wishful thinking combined with prayers to mechanical deities who have abandoned this project entirely. The suspension has all the sophistication of a trampoline designed by people who'd never seen one before, and were working from descriptions provided by someone having a stroke while describing playground equipment. Every bump in the road gets transmitted directly to your spine with the efficiency of a medieval torture device specifically designed to make chiropractors wealthy and ensure steady customer flow. You exist in automotive limbo, too weird for car people, too embarrassing for bikers, too expensive for rational people, and too ridiculous for anyone with functioning brain cells. Real motorcyclists won't acknowledge you because you've got training wheels and a steering wheel, making you about as welcome at bike nights as a vegan at a barbecue competition or a mime at a heavy metal concert. Car enthusiasts mock you for paying luxury vehicle prices for carnival ride performance, with the aerodynamics of a refrigerator that's been hit by a tornado and then pushed off a cliff by angry meteorologists. You're stuck in mechanical purgatory, spending more time explaining to confused strangers what your contraption actually is, instead of enjoying the experience of operating it, or getting anywhere useful. The Slingshot delivers all the inconvenience of motorcycling with absolutely zero of the fun, plus the added bonus of looking like someone who couldn't decide between 2 wheels or 4 and chose the worst possible compromise available in the marketplace. Your commitment issues have manifested in vehicle form, and everyone can see your mechanical indecision from miles away, creating traffic slowdowns as people stare in confusion. Number 9 might have been a joke, but number 8? That one will make you wish you were driving a Slingshot in a clown suit, and trust me, that would still look less ridiculous. BMW examined motorcycles and decided they needed all the paperwork hassles with none of the actual enjoyment that makes dealing with those hassles worthwhile in the first place. The BMW C1 is a scooter pretending to be a car while failing miserably at both, like a duck trying to be a fish while wearing concrete flippers and a blindfold during a swimming competition. You're piloting something with a roof, windshield, and seatbelts, actual seatbelts on a motorcycle, yet still need a bike license because bureaucrats apparently enjoy creating confusion and paperwork for their own entertainment. Some places require helmets despite BMW's confident insistence that the roll cage provides adequate protection, giving you maximum bureaucratic hassle with minimum freedom or enjoyment from the riding experience. The tiny 125cc engine guarantees you'll be slower than determined pedestrians, while resembling someone operating a rejected movie prop from a low-budget sci-fi disaster where the special effects budget ran out halfway through production and the director gave up trying. You wanted car safety with scooter efficiency, but got something demonstrably inferior to both, like ordering a gourmet steak and receiving cardboard with ketchup packets. Other riders spot you approaching and assume you're either having a safety-related nervous breakdown or lost a bet involving poor transportation choices and questionable judgment that will haunt your reputation forever. The C1 eliminates everything exciting about motorcycling: wind, leaning, road connection, replacing it with the claustrophobic experience of driving an overpriced golf cart with delusions of grandeur and serious identity issues. You've managed to take the worst aspects of both cars and motorcycles and combine them into something that's less than the sum of its parts, which is actually an impressive achievement in its own tragically comic way that defies basic mathematics. BMW mercifully discontinued this embarrassment after realizing even their most loyal customers have limits to what they'll accept and pay money for. Think riding that BMW safety cage scooter made you look like a total clown? Number 7 is a chrome-covered catastrophe, and if you see someone on this rolling punchline, run before they ask you to join the circus. Honda grabbed their reliable Goldwing platform and wondered what would happen if they made it completely unusable while covering it in enough chrome to cause international aviation incidents and possibly blind satellite operators working in space. The Honda Rune is an 850-pound monument to style over function that lasted exactly 2 years before Honda quietly pretended it never existed and hoped everyone would forget this embarrassing chapter in their corporate history. You paid $30,000 in 2004 money, which translates to approximately $45,000 in today's inflated currency, for a Goldwing engine crammed into a frame designed by someone overdosing on energy drinks during a sci-fi movie marathon, while having fever dreams about transportation's future and chrome's role in it. The riding position stretches your arms to neighboring counties, while folding your legs like expensive origami designed by someone who hates human anatomy and wants to punish people for having normal proportions. Parking requires strategic planning, a team of spotters, and possibly medical assistance scheduled for immediately afterward, because maneuvering 850 pounds of chrome-covered confusion exceeds normal human capabilities. Low-speed maneuvering feels like wrestling an angry grand piano that has handlebars and delusions of being a motorcycle while weighing more than most small cars. The chrome coverage is so extensive, you're basically riding a mirror with an engine attached, creating a mobile disco ball that's visible from orbit and probably violating several international treaties regarding light pollution and aviation safety. You're simultaneously stretched out like a chopper yet cramped like a sport bike, achieving the worst aspects of both worlds with impressive efficiency that would be admirable if it weren't so completely useless. Honda discontinued this chrome catastrophe after 2 years because, shockingly, nobody wanted them except a handful of collectors who confused rarity with desirability and probably shouldn't be trusted with important financial decisions or sharp objects. Now you claim it's a valuable collector's item with investment potential, but it's not rare because it's special or innovative. It's rare because it was a terrible concept that even Honda couldn't salvage with marketing magic and corporate spin. You're not riding a classic piece of motorcycle history that will appreciate in value. You're piloting a very shiny, very expensive mistake that serves as a rolling reminder of what happens when style departments are allowed to run wild without adult supervision. That chrome disaster might have made you look like a clown, but number 6 takes it to circus-level humiliation. It's a machine that somehow makes every rider look like they're late for their juggling act. The Ducati Panagal FIV4 is absolute motorcycle perfection with its 214 horsepower of racing-derived excellence, with electronics that would impress NASA engineers and aerodynamics that make fighter jets jealous of its sophisticated design. It's specifically designed to demolish racetracks with surgical precision and make professional riders weep with joy at its capabilities. The problem isn't the bike. It's your complete inability to use it properly or appropriately for its intended purpose. You purchased a track missile designed for professional racers for coffee runs and parking lot photo shoots, which is like buying a Formula One car for grocery shopping or hiring a symphony orchestra to provide background music while you check email and browse social media. This machine was engineered for triple-digit speeds with riders who have actual skills and track experience. But you're cruising at 35 miles per hour through suburbs where it overheats like an overworked computer, trying to mine cryptocurrency while running 17 browser tabs. The aggressive racing position makes perfect sense on racetracks but becomes medieval torture during your brief suburban commutes to Starbucks and back home. You spent luxury car money on a bike demanding track time and genuine expertise, then never leave third gear because you're genuinely terrified of your own expensive purchase, but too proud to admit your limitations to anyone who asks. Other Panagal owners who actually use their bikes properly on racetracks view you with the mixture of disappointment and disgust that parents feel watching kids waste expensive Christmas gifts on stupid nonsense instead of appreciating their value. You're desperately trying to explain to anyone who'll listen why you need 214 horsepower for grocery runs, while real riders set lap records on bikes with half the power because they understand that skill matters more than specifications. You've transformed a precision racing instrument designed for speed and performance into expensive jewelry that occasionally makes impressive sounds, like using a concert Steinway piano as a coffee table or a professional chef's knife to open Amazon packages. The irony is painful. You own one of the most capable motorcycles ever built, but use it in ways that would make its designers question their life choices and career decisions. If you thought misusing a superbike made you look silly, number 5 turns you into a full-blown clown, revving, flexing, and fooling no one but yourself. You accomplished something truly spectacular and monumentally stupid, purchasing a $55,000 motorcycle with not for street use printed in letters large enough to be visible from space, then complaining about street riding restrictions like some sort of mechanical tragedy that would make Shakespeare weep and consider changing careers. The Kawasaki H2R is a 310 horsepower supercharged missile designed exclusively for closed courses and professional riders, which apparently wasn't obvious enough for someone with your decision-making abilities. This track-only weapon lacks headlights, turn signals, mirrors, and has emissions that would embarrass industrial facilities and make environmental officers file for early retirement while questioning their life choices. Yet somehow, you convinced yourself this was reasonable for someone who probably panics during highway merging and considers aggressive lane changes extreme sports requiring protective equipment and medical supervision. You bought a machine that professional racers approach like radioactive material or unexploded ordnance, despite having riding skills suggesting you learned everything from internet videos and consider yourself an expert after watching racing highlights in medical waiting rooms. The H2R produces more power than most cars while weighing just 450 pounds, creating physics-defying power-to-weight ratios that actively challenge several fundamental laws of nature and common sense. One throttle twist could launch you into alternate dimensions or at least the nearest emergency room. But you'll never experience it because you're too busy explaining to insurance companies why your motorcycle is classified as a potential explosive device and fire hazard. The supercharger whine sounds like a jet engine having an existential crisis mixed with the screams of tortured metal, which is appropriate since that's probably what you're having every time you look at this expensive garage ornament. You wanted bragging rights for owning the most extreme bike ever manufactured, but forgot the minor detail of actually being able to use it legally anywhere without special permits and professional supervision. Now you own the world's most expensive conversation piece that occasionally makes terrifying noises when you start it up to show equally confused friends who wonder about your mental state and financial priorities. If you thought number 5 made you look like a complete lunatic, just wait for number 4, because only a total clown would shove a car engine into a motorcycle and call it a good idea. You examined a perfectly functional motorcycle and decided it needed a Chevy V8 engine, which resembles putting rocket engines on bicycles, nuclear power in toasters, or jet engines on shopping carts while expecting reasonable results. The Boss Haas 5.8 weighs over 1,100 pounds and uses actual car tires because motorcycle tires would simply resign from their jobs and seek professional counseling for trauma-related stress disorders. This isn't motorcycling in any recognizable sense. It's survival with handlebars attached and a death wish included in the purchase price. You're straddling a blast furnace that slow roasts your legs to medium well while consuming premium fuel at 10 miles per gallon, making every ride expensive endurance training that would interest medieval torture specialists and modern masochists with disposable income. Handling is exactly what you'd expect from cramming car engines between two wheels, completely absent, like trying to steer freight trains with positive thoughts, prayer, and strongly worded suggestions delivered through megaphones. Corners require diplomatic negotiations with physics, while stopping needs the advanced planning typically reserved for space missions or major life decisions that will affect future generations. You spent $60,000 on something requiring more advance warning than aircraft carriers just to change direction, making every ride feel like captaining a land-based oil tanker through residential neighborhoods, filled with speed bumps and concerned parents calling the authorities. If this mechanical beast tips over, don't attempt recovery. Relocate immediately, change identities, and pretend this entire episode never happened, because lifting 1,100 pounds of American excess exceeds normal human capabilities without industrial equipment and professional moving crews. The fuel consumption doesn't just drain your wallet. It actively traumatizes gas station attendants who now know you by name, credit score, and probably your mother's maiden name while keeping detailed records of your visits. You're single-handedly keeping petroleum companies profitable while contributing to climate change 1/4 mile at a time, making environmentalists weep and oil executives send you thank you cards for your dedication to fossil fuel consumption. Every time you fire up this mechanical beast, neighbors 3 blocks away know you're coming, and not in a good way that builds community relationships. You're not riding a motorcycle, you're piloting a land-based aircraft carrier that happens to have handlebars and an attitude problem that would make honey badgers seem reasonable and diplomatic by comparison. If number 4's fuel-guzzling land barge made you the ultimate clown, number 3 proves that throwing 6 figures at a bike can turn you into a walking meme on 2 wheels. At over $100,000, the Confederate Hellcat proves that unlimited money doesn't guarantee intelligence, common sense, or reasonable decision-making abilities that won't haunt you for the rest of your natural life and beyond. This solid billet aluminum sculpture weighs 600 pounds and handles like a chrome-plated refrigerator filled with concrete and launched downhill by people who've never encountered physics or basic engineering principles in educational settings. You purchased a rolling art exhibit that spends more time broken than functional, making it history's most expensive garage decoration and possibly the worst investment since pyramid schemes or cryptocurrency, launched by celebrities with questionable judgment. When something breaks, and it will, probably during demonstrations for equally wealthy and foolish friends, you'll need mortgage-level repairs, because parts apparently require unicorn tears and assembly by trained dolphins working under strict union contracts with excellent benefits. Parts availability is a joke that would make professional comedians quit their day jobs to become motorcycle parts suppliers with better job security. Finding mechanics willing to touch your expensive mistake resembles locating unicorns with engineering degrees and senses of humor about overpriced American sculptures masquerading as functional transportation. The few brave enough to work on it will charge rates making Swiss bankers blush with embarrassment and consider career changes to less expensive professions, like space exploration or luxury yacht maintenance. The riding position seems designed specifically for chiropractor enrichment and ensuring steady customer streams for massage therapists and physical rehabilitation specialists who specialize in motorcycle-related injuries. The suspension is so stiff it makes medieval torture devices seem comfortable and user-friendly by comparison, while the overall experience feels like riding an expensive piece of modern art that occasionally moves and always disappoints. You're not purchasing transportation in any meaningful sense. You're buying expensive conversation pieces that occasionally function and always disappoint everyone involved in the transaction, including innocent bystanders who witness your mechanical struggles. This hand-built nightmare represents everything wrong with modern motorcycle culture: the triumph of price over performance, exclusivity over engineering, and slick marketing over meaningful innovation or genuine achievement. The Confederate Hellcat is perfect for someone who thinks regular supercars are too affordable and mainstream, wants to ensure everyone knows they have more money than brains, and enjoys being the subject of conversations about wasteful spending at motorcycle gatherings. While number 3 looked like an expensive mistake, number 2 takes bad decisions to a whole new level. This thing's a clown car wrapped in chrome. Harley-Davidson examined their century-plus heritage of loud, soul-stirring motorcycles defining American riding culture and decided to build the complete opposite. Like vegetarians opening steakhouses, mimes starting podcasts, or librarians launching heavy metal bands with aggressive marketing campaigns, the Harley-Davidson Livewire is a $30,000 lesson in removing everything exciting about motorcycling while keeping all inconveniences and adding entirely new problems nobody requested or wanted. You bought a Harley that doesn't sound, look, or ride like any Harley ever manufactured in their entire corporate history, completely defeating the purpose of Harley ownership and brand loyalty that spans generations. The advertised 146-mile range becomes purely theoretical when highway riding drops it to double digits faster than your enthusiasm for electric vehicles, turning every journey into stressful mathematics involving charging station locations and range anxiety that would make accountants nervous. The eerie silence removes the visceral rider-machine connection that makes motorcycling addictive for millions worldwide, replacing it with wind sounds and your own disappointed sighs echoing inside your helmet like a sad acoustic performance in an empty concert hall. You're planning routes around charging infrastructure instead of scenic roads, spending 40 minutes at charging stations when they work, or entire nights plugged into outlets like expensive household appliances that occasionally move. The charging network is so sparse that trip planning becomes advanced mathematics requiring strategic thinking, usually reserved for military operations or chess championships with international implications. You'll spend more time searching for functional charging stations than actually riding, making every journey feel like a scavenger hunt, where the prize is continuing your disappointing trip to nowhere special. The brutal depreciation makes financial advisors weep openly. Bikes costing nearly $30,000 now sell for under $15,000 and still don't move off dealer floors like automotive pariahs. You didn't purchase motorcycling's future. You bought an expensive lesson proving electric technology works much better with 4 wheels, air conditioning, and the ability to charge conveniently at home overnight without planning your entire life around battery management. Traditional Harley riders rejected it for lacking authenticity, while younger riders who might appreciate electric technology took one look at the price tag and bought electric cars instead, leaving you stuck in the middle with a bike that satisfies nobody and depreciates faster than smartphones after new model launches. And finally, we reach our number 1, the ultimate circus performance. Driving this beauty isn't just a bad decision, it's the grand finale of looking like a total clown. At $3.6 million, the ECOS Heretic ES1 represents absolute peak motorcycle stupidity and serves as definitive proof that unlimited wealth doesn't guarantee functional brain cells or reasonable decision-making abilities. This titanium monument to insanity demonstrates that some people have so much money, they've completely forgotten what money is actually for, using it as expensive kindling for their dignity and social standing while paying supercar collection money for a motorcycle that performs about as well as bikes costing 1% of its ridiculous price tag. You could buy 50 decent motorcycles, purchase small tropical islands, or fund entire countries' motorcycle development programs with the same money while actually contributing something meaningful to society. Limited to just 10 units worldwide, approximately 10 too many for any sane universe, this represents golden opportunities for wealthy people to make spectacularly poor decisions that future generations will remember as prime examples of money and common sense existing in completely separate dimensions. The titanium construction makes it lighter than expected, but at this astronomical price point, it should be constructed from compressed unicorn tears, powered by pure concentrated magic, and assembled by angels who graduated summa cum laude from motorcycle engineering school. You're not purchasing transportation, you're buying a $3.6 million public announcement that you've completely lost touch with reality and probably shouldn't be trusted with sharp objects or important financial decisions. So the Heretic ES1 isn't even the fastest, most powerful, or most technologically advanced motorcycle available on the market, making it a spectacular failure on every single measurable level that actually matters to genuine motorcyclists. You're literally paying millions of dollars for bragging rights that absolutely nobody cares about, while providing endless entertainment for everyone else who can't believe such monumental stupidity actually exists in the real world. This mechanical monument to excess represents everything fundamentally wrong with modern society. The complete triumph of price over actual value, exclusivity over accessibility, and slick marketing over meaningful innovation. The manufacturing process involves more ceremony than substance, with each bike receiving individual blessing from marketing executives who've convinced themselves they're creating automotive art rather than overpriced transportation that nobody actually needs. Insurance companies probably require psychological evaluations before covering these machines, not because they're dangerous to ride, but because owning one suggests serious judgment impairment. You'll be too terrified to actually ride it because any minor damage costs more than most people's annual salaries, effectively turning your motorcycle into the world's most expensive garage sculpture that occasionally starts up to remind you of your poor financial choices and questionable priorities. Want more two-wheeled disasters? Click the video on your screen now to see even more motorcycle catastrophes that make clowns look like geniuses.